MMI Benefactors. Thank you so much for supporting us, for praying for us, for giving, for trusting us. In this last year, 2022, it's been a crazy year, yes, but God has been so good. And for everything that we get to do with the ministries through Monarch Ministries International, our benefactors are a huge part of making that happen. So thank you so much. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I pray that you have an amazing new year and are excited about what's coming up in 2023. I want to just kind of give you an overview of the Monarch Ministries in 2022 and then a view of 2023, this time by video. And I'm sitting here in the studio that you helped create by just sowing into the ministry. I'm doing some more videos and some prophetic words, and you're going to be able to get first look at that here at the end of this video. But I just wanted to take this time to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart that you're such a blessing to our ministry, to our family. I use the term benefactors because your seeds that are sown, your prayer seeds and financial seeds that are sown into this ministry are part of your legacy, are part of your harvest, what you have done by sending out these seeds. So what was 2022 like? Yes, it has been a crazy year, but God has been doing some amazing things. Earlier this in the year, we were able to do a conference that we put on for a Latino church that God's really connected me to over the years. I've spoken at the church 4 or 5 times, and then the pastor is bivocational. He works in a contracting business that he owns 7 days a week, and then he pastors his church, a few hundred people, and just really pours his heart. So we did a conference at the beginning of the year that allowed the pastor and his wife to go to a marriage retreat and get some time away, and we had a team of about 12 or 13 people come in, and we did a full conference for 3 days, equipping and training. Yes, there's many miracles and healings, and the pastor and I, we just spoke on the phone recently, and I'm just so blessed by the healings and the testimonies that came out of it that encouraged his people. And actually, there's a bunch of inner healing that happened. One of my favorite moments from that conference was on a night that God led me to just really share about my childhood and about forgiveness and the forgiveness I went with my mother. There was a young lady there who was very estranged from her mother and from all the violence and stuff from her childhood, but her mother was also there at the same service. It was a God-ordained time. At the end of the service, I was able to pray with them both individually and then together as God started to mend their hearts and heal that relationship. It was beautiful to be just a part of what God was doing there. That conference, the only way we could do that is by you and your gifts and your seeds sown. And so the church actually had a great motivation and great momentum built from that conference that propelled them through the year. That they in the end of October, they had to add a second service to Sunday mornings. The pastor's so excited. I'm going to be preaching there in a few weeks just to continue building and sowing into that good, fertile ground. God has really blessed them and is causing them to grow, and their taste of what the power of God is last year has caused them to hunger for more. So thank you for sowing into that. Another great highlight of this year in 2022 was our Kansas City trip. It was an amazing trip. It was a connection the pastor and I had from the master's program, but he had never had anybody like me there. But he's like, hey, come on in. I trust you. I trust what God wants to do. And so I went in and just praying about it and asked God just to really show me what he wanted to do. We only had 3 services at Sunday night or Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night. And we had a team of 6 or 7. And we just went in, and the first night just really shared the Father's heart, and then talked about renewing the mind in the morning on Sunday morning, and then finished out about God renewing the body. And so we did heart, mind, and body. And it was a beautiful time. God healed many things. There's the metal healings. There's bones that were broken that were healed, and just God really healing hearts in the first night, and just really renewing their strength to see that God heals today. We don't just have to claim what Jesus did on the cross 2,000 years ago. It manifests today. And we even had a couple ladies that came and gave testimonies the next week at church, and the pastor sent me the video because he was so excited. They got new teeth in their mouth during the services. It was just such a blessing and a blessed time. But we also encouraged the pastor that we could do some outreaches and go reach out and go pray for people on the streets. And so some of the team went to do that. I had to take someone to the airport. I really wish I could have made that time, but it really encouraged him seeing the people saved on the streets. That when he talked to me about scheduling this year for 2023 for a longer conference, and then it's what we're going to do. We're going to go in and do a marketplace ministry conference. He wants to do a lot of outreach ministries, so I'm excited about that. You helped us be able to go to bring some of the team in to pay for some of the things we have to pay for, meals and whatnot, and teams come in, and these guys that are wanting to learn and grow pay their own way, take time off of work to get there, and I'm just blessed by them. And all together, those are seeds sown by them, the benefactors. You're sowing seeds, and it brings it together to really just help equip the local church, to help build up the local body, because it is so important to build up the pastors and leaders of the local church. And we're excited about what God is doing in that part of our ministry. Another part of our ministry is we sow seeds into other ministries. Yes, we give out to other ministries that God's connected us to through various ways, but one of those ministries is Life Seeds International. I'm actually on the board with them, but it's all about giving food out and helping the needy. And then the heart of the ministry too is about reaching places like Guatemala, Honduras, and you've seen those emails that I've sent out over the year about those. But we were able to send a bunch of school supplies to Honduras. We were able to help sponsor 5,500 kids getting a Christmas meal in Guatemala. I was not able to get on the ground with those because of finances and flight costs, but we were able to send those seeds out and bless them to go out and do these things. And then we also sponsored over 200,000 pounds of food to be given out over the year, including, and they give out millions of pounds of food a year, but as Monarch Ministries, we sponsored over 200,000 pounds. Thank you so much for sowing into that and reaching the poor, reaching these children, reaching those that are in need in this nation and other nations. That's part of my heart, and part of what I want to do in our ministry is always be giving into other ministries. We're partnering with John 10 Ministries. We're partnering with Life Seeds International, with Good News Ministries. Global Awakening is one of those ministries we give to. But it's just about giving and seeing God use the seeds even farther than when I can reach out. Either you could reach out, or seeing those seeds even push forward even farther. So thank you so much for giving. 2023, I'm looking forward to it. I've been assessing things, assessing ministry of God, where you want us to go. 2022, yes, we had some very big blessings there throughout the year, but it was a very hard year. We operated in a deficit the entire year. Just to kind of be just open about it, we're less than half of what our budget, giving to budget needs were, and a tremendous deficit from last year to this year. And it's just part of the economy, part of the season, part of the enemy trying to discourage us. And we just continued whatever we had. God bless it. I know I give that message, right? What do you have? And so I was in that moment of, what do I have? This is what we have. God bless it. Somehow we're able to be able to put the full studio together. This is another thing that y'all poured into. Brendan and I, we put whatever we had resources together, which to complete it so we could start putting up these videos. In the last quarter of the year, we've only done like 20 videos, but we've had over 6,500 hours watched of training and equipping videos on the YouTube channel. They sent me this report that shows it. There's over 1,198 different clicks on the video to watch it, watch the videos, and then shares. And so it was just really good to see that God is growing that platform, but not just for me to be out there, but it's for the equipping of the saints, encouraging of the saints. So if you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, check it out. There's one for Monarch Ministries, there's one for Marcus, and I'm just doing all the podcasts that I do and whatnot, and just doing them all together and just putting them out there. And I'm trying to get them to work together better, and I'm trying to get better at this, but I'm a one-man show. So we'll get better next year. I am encouraged though by the fact that there's so many people watching, there's so many people seeing what God is doing in our ministry, and then there's so many people impacted by the ministry, even with just little funds that we had this year. So it's all because of the giving and your heart to give, that we are able to do any of it. And then Brenda and me and the kids, we all just sacrifice everything we can just to make sure we're staying on course with what God has for us. It has been hard. There's been some really stretching times of it. I'm not going to lie. There's been times like, God, where are you? I've got these prophetic words, and I got these words. I know that a lot of you could relate with that. And it's like, how do I get there? And as I'm looking at 2023, I feel like God's saying that, yes, this is a time, this is a year we're going to be moving from the East Coast to the West Coast. This is a year to establish a actual physical location for Monarch Ministries International, and so that we're not just operating a studio out of my basement, but have a full studio that's permanent, have a place for all the merch and everything and all the stuff that's all throughout my house of Monarch could be in a place of its own, but also get staff so I'm not doing everything on my own. And so that's a lot of vision, adding staff, adding location, a lot of cost and expense. And I'm like, okay, God, this is your will. You will provide. And we have prophetic words where God said he's on, even before we started the ministry, that God will give you the provision for the vision, even though it's greater than you could ever imagine. And this is not something I ever imagined doing, but this is what God's put on our heart. We want to go out and do more conferences. I mentioned the conference that we're going to do in Kansas City. We have some local stuff that we're doing. We want to do more lifestyle miracle conferences in Birmingham and San Antonio, Texas, and Connecticut and Seattle. There's places that we want to do some of these things and start pouring into the ground there, start helping the local pastors break ground, bring unity, bring love, bring the lifestyle miracles. And these are all cost money, and as my project manager mind works on this, it's like the budget increases. And so we're just praying into it, and we're believing into it, that God is with us and for us. But as I've been praying into it and thinking like, God, am I crazy? This is getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, well, am I crazy to be thinking this big? And God reminded me of an encounter I had, an encounter that literally took me into a place where Jesus showed me, and I don't share all the details of this, but as you know, as benefactors, one of my giftings is a seer, and I have encounters with Jesus and the visions and dreams and whatnot. And there's a vision that I share, I'm sharing on. I just recorded the prophetic word so I could release it, but I'm going to attach it to this video here about 2023, so you get the first look at this prophetic video, but also that you be encouraged for 2023 for yourself, because I believe that as children of God, we walk in the fullness of the kingdom of heaven. That means we have the resources of the kingdom of heaven. That means if God has called us to do it, he will see us through it and provide for it. So we're going to do it. He's going to see us through it, and we're going to provide for it. So we need to go out there and grab a hold of what God has for us. He has a bunch of upgrades for you. He has a bunch of upgrades for Monarch Ministries. He has a bunch of upgrades in our lives. And so, the year of 2022 may seem a lot of lack this year, but no, it's just a year of stretching, a year of transition. And in 2023, I believe we're going to see great expansion of our tent pegs, that we're going to be able to not only wipe out any debt that we incurred this year, but be able to have surplus and be able to say, okay, now we can even do more than we imagined and dreamed of, more than we even thought of. We could give more, help more families out, send those water tanks that I want to send in Guatemala to be able to provide fresh water to some of these villages, and things that I want to do that God's put on my heart that, they're expensive, but God can make them happen. So, and enjoy this video that I put at the end of this. It's just the Prophetic with Marcus podcast. I'm going to release onto YouTube, but I want to release it to you first today. So enjoy this video about 2023. But I also want just one time say thank you so much. thank you for trusting Monarch Ministries and myself and my family with your seeds, with your prayers, with your time, with your volunteering, all the different people from our board members to our MMI transformation team, to all the people who just sow in monthly. It doesn't matter to me if it's sowing a $20 bill or $20,000. To me, it's all the same. It's a sacrifice and a trust, and we take that. We pray God will bless it and let us use it to his glory and for what he wants to do. And so thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for helping us, for being with us, for believing in us, for encouraging us. There's so many of you out there that I could just name off the top of my head that I pray for constantly, because you are such an encouragement to me. So thank you so much. You encourage us to continue on this journey with God, that we can get through it. We can make these things come to pass that God has called us to, by being faithful, by being generous, by following what he's called us to do. Thank you so much for your giving. God bless you, and let 2023 be an amazing year that we grab a hold of and then see God bless us and expand our tent pegs. Till next time. Bye.